Hello world of YouTube and welcome to a quick top 11, quick-ish top 11 that I've been wanting to do for a while, and I'm finally sitting down and getting the chance to film. It is my top 11 10th Doctor stories, and this makes sense. 50th anniversary of Doctor Who right around the corner. I've seen YouTubers making stuff about Doctor Who this week. Figured why not do the same. And the reason why I'm making this specific list of this specific Doctor is because David Tennant's Doctor is my favorite Doctor. No offense to Matt Smith or any of David Tennant's ancestors as the Doctor predecessors, but I like David Tennant's Doctor because he encompasses a lot of the different Doctors into one. Matt Smith does a really good job of the whimsical and the dark side, but there's some things missing that David Tennant's Doctor does really well, especially the human side. He does a lot of Davison-esque things, but he does it really well and kind of expands on the foundations that were put forth with Davison's Doctor. And some people really don't like that about his Doctor. They don't like the way he was written. I like the way he was written. I like David Tennant's Doctor. I think it's good. And plus, David Tennant is just really good in the role, period. But with this, I'm going to be running down my top 11 favorite David Tennant Doctor stories. Plain and simple. This list was very hard to make. In fact, before filming this, like starting up the camera, I swapped out one story with another, and yeah, so this is really hard to make, but before I decide to make any other changes, let's go ahead and start the list. In at number 11 is School Reunion. I really like this episode because it does something really well that while it's done a lot now, especially in Doctor Who, was done probably its best in this episode, and that's bring classic Who into new Who. It was my introduction to Elizabeth Sladen as Sarah Jane, and to K9, and it was done really well. The plot is simple, just stuff is happening at a school, and they try to stop it. But it was so... The dynamic between David Tennant's Doctor and Elizabeth Sladen was really well put together. Seeing Elizabeth Sladen step back into this role and to kind of see her being brought back into the Doctor's world was an interesting dynamic that I had honestly really liked to see more of. I know that's really hard since a lot of the older cast isn't, young anymore, but I'd really like to see that happen more if it was done as well as it is here. I like seeing Elizabeth Sladen interact with Mickey and Rose. I liked the way that David Tennant just really enjoys himself in this episode. He has some of his darker side. He has some of his really nostalgic side as the Doctor, It was a really interesting episode, and I really liked it the first time, and it's still one of my favorite episodes to go back and rewatch if I'm ever picking something to watch on a whim. In at number 10 is actually the one that I swapped out at the last minute. It is the Unicorn and the Wasp. Now, this actually was replacing Utopia Sound of the Drums in The Last of the Time Lords, and the reason why it swapped that out is because I recently rewatched this, and I forgot how much I loved it. I love Utopia Sound of that whole three-part arc, and the biggest reason why I put that on this list is because I wanted to talk about John Sims and how much I actually really like it, as to the contrast of a lot of people who seem to not, from what I'm saying. But I like this episode is because, again, it's something simple, but it's done really well. You have the Doctor and Donna in the past solving a murder mystery style with a mystery author, Agatha Christie. Really simple, works really well. And honestly, this episode has some of my favorite banter between the Doctor and Donna. The poisoning scene, especially, really funny. And the scene where they're kind of talking about who did it, also really funny. There's just a lot of really funny moments that are sprinkled in with a lot of the mystery and drama. And it's really well utilized. Plus, Agatha Christie as kind of a main character in this episode was really well handled and really well acted. It's just a good episode. It's fun. And it has a giant wasp, which is crazy. And at number 9 is The Runaway Bride, which is the only Christmas special on this list. And the reason why it's on here is because I went back and watched this after watching Donna's arc as a character. And it was interesting to see how far she had gone, and I really liked seeing the way that she began as a character, especially because some of those characteristics just don't go away, and I didn't like them at first, but I like them more now. The kind of really sassy towards the Doctor side, especially since she didn't know the guy. And the way that she really helps the Doctor, even though she doesn't know him. This episode's just really fun, too. It got some really good action, and the ending climax with the Doctor facing off against the main villain was really well handled, and some of the shots in there are really good. And it's just a good episode. And it shows the importance of the Doctor not being alone, which they do a lot now, but I feel like this did really well as one of the first. And number 8 is The Girl in the Fireplace, and what I really like about this episode is the chemistry with the characters and the set pieces. I like the whole time portal in a spaceship idea, kind of a through the looking glass sort of ordeal, and I love some of the interactions with not only the Doctor and Madame de Pompadour, but I really like the entire cast ensemble's performance, and plus I love the clockwork robot things. I love the subtle comedy, or some of the comedy in the episode, like the horse, or the scene, the climax, with the Doctor saving Mickey and Rose. And I really like kind of how the Doctor is portrayed in this episode, because he's portrayed as a few things: an imaginary friend. There's a thing in the old episode where he's referred, and the classic Who, where he's referred to as Merlin, and how he's kind of a guardian angel in this sense in this episode is pretty well handled. It's really interesting, and it's cool. It's awesome. It's spaceship in the past together, but not. In at number 7 is The Impossible Planet / The Satan Pit, the first two-parter on this list, and not the last, but I like this episode mainly because it puts the Doctor up on a weird pedestal. Religion. I'm not going to say that religion and science fiction don't go well together, but I feel like this is one of the better instances that I've seen of it being used. I really like the way that they kind of handle the Doctor meeting something that he really shouldn't believe in. The devil. Satan. Who is voiced by Gabriel Wolfe, which I was happy to see return from Pyramid of Mars, a 4th Doctor story, or at least happy to see return now that I know that he was in that. He does a really good job returning in this role as someone very sinister and all-knowing and all-powerful. But I really like the idea of the Doctor coming to terms with something like this. It's done again in an 11th Doctor episode, the one with the hotels that I can't think of the name of right now, but I think it's done really well here. I like the idea of the Doctor kind of questioning philosophy, his own philosophy, something that has been held so concrete for so long. And plus, I'm just a sucker for a doomed space mission story. You'll see that later on in the list. I don't know what it is. I really like doomed spaceship stories. People being picked off one by one on a spaceship, alien style. It's cool. That's really my biggest reason why it's on this list. It's interesting. It's an interesting thing to think about. And at number 6 is Army of Ghosts / Doomsday. Say what you want about Rose Tyler, and believe me, a lot of people on the internet have, and she's not my favorite companion, and mine is Donna. But I was really sad to see her go. She was the first companion that we were introduced to as people who watched New Who from the beginning, and she was someone that I did get attached to. I liked seeing the chemistry between her and the Doctor build more and more and more, and their romance really blossoming, and it hurt to see her go. You know, I mean, while better companions have been introduced, she was still the first, and she was still someone that I attached to as a character very heavily. And I feel like she was not the perfect companion for the 10th Doctor, because looking back, I like the fact that there's less romance in the TARDIS with someone like Clara or Donna, but I liked the fact that the Doctor kind of had a girlfriend, and it was sad to see her go, not of her own volition. She was kind of forced to do it, and I'm excited to see her come back for the 50th anniversary, not just because I want to see her and David Tennant again doing adventures like how I liked seeing in the beginning, but it'll be interesting to see her interact with Matt Smith's Doctor, because I want to know what she'll say. I'm intrigued. Let's just put it that way. But also, this episode also has something really awesome in it, and the fact that the Daleks and the Cybermen are together, working to destroy the Doctor, and I like that. There's the sequence with them bantering, that's really great. It's bittersweet. It's a bittersweet episode because stuff like this happens in the show, regenerations, companions leaving, all that sort of stuff, and this is one of the heavier ones. And, yeah. And at number 5 is Blink. Yes, this is on my list. Yes, it is also at number 5. A lot of people have hailed this as the best Doctor Who episode of all time. While it is in my top 5, it's not my favorite. I do really like this episode, though, and I like that it utilizes the Dr. Light formula really well, and I feel like this isn't the only good one. I really like Turn Left as well. That was also almost on this list, but I like Blink because it puts us in the shoes of someone we don't know and faces them against someone that the Doctor really can't stop, but he tries to help in his own way. Plus, it was a really good introduction to the Weeping Angels before they got all fucked up. I really like the pacing of this episode. I love what it does with the viewer kind of immersing them in a sense. The angels don't move because we're looking at them too. But I really like the characters. I really like the story in general. I like seeing, again, someone we don't know tackle something that we've never seen before, but is very, very deadly. Plus, I don't know, it's just really well written. This is another Moffat episode. Girl in the Fireplace was a Moffat episode. And this is a really good one. I like this episode a lot. Plus, I like how in the end, the Doctor doesn't know of anything that happened, even though he helped. So, I don't know, it's interesting. And at number 4 is Silence in the Library / Force of the Dead. Shake, I know you're probably upset that this is here, but I like this episode a lot. And what I like about this episode, in the same contrast of The Impossible Planet, is that it puts the Doctor against something that scares him. His future. River Song is a character that some people love, some people hate. I like River Song. I don't think she's a bad character. That being said, I think this is a really good introduction to her because it's her end, and it's the Doctor's beginning. It's our beginning, his end. And it's really interesting to see how the Doctor reacts to someone who knows him so well, yet he doesn't know what to do with her. He doesn't know how to react to her. He doesn't know how to treat her because he scares her, or she scares him. It's his future, and it's something he doesn't get faced with that often unless we've already seen the past happen, i.e. the 5 Doctors, or the 3 Doctors, or Time Crash, which was a really good short episode. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. I like the Vashta Nerada. I really wish they'd actually kind of make a comeback. I think that they're a creature that is, again, very menacing. It's shadows, it's darkness, it's a simple fear that is tackled really well. I think that the underlying darker themes of the episode are really good. I like the whole hard drive universe and how the Dr. Moon handles the whole thing. How Donna is kind of put into the scenario that she's unaware of, and how that turns out. I just like the episode. I think it's really good. I like the end of it especially. The final sequence tugs at me, gives me feels every time. It's the scene with this but not this, the other this, and with River. That whole final just gives me feels, and it's really good. And number 3 is The Waters of Mars. Probably the best of the post-Donna episodes, if you ask me. And again, I'm a sucker for a Doom space mission, especially one that's so supposed to happen. And I like the characters. I love the comedic Russian guy. I love the whole entire ensemble. I love the stern lieutenant who wants to do more than he's given. I like the fun but strict captain. I love the robot enthusiast. It's got a good cast of characters. And the Doctor being faced with another scenario he doesn't know what to do with. He's in a fixed point in time that he was placed in before, but done so well because he tries so hard to fix it. And I think it's handled really well. And I really dig The Waters of Mars because of that. Again, the final sequence, really good. It puts him in, again, that darker toned spot, and it's played out so well by Tennant. And yeah, it's good. I really like The Waters of Mars. Call me a doomed spaceship enthusiast. That's what I am. And number 2 is The Human Nature / The Family of Blood. Last 2-parter on this list. Now you don't know what number 1 is, do you? But I like this episode because, and it's again, that human side of the Doctor played out entirely. He's a human in this episode. And it's interesting to see Martha have to save the day while the Doctor is none the wiser. And not only is that an interesting dynamic, but the entire final bit of it, where he is trying to punish the bad people, is really, really good. It's the most sinister, I feel like, that David Tennant's Doctor is, and is well written, well acted, well done. I like how, even though they're not that sinister of a threat, I mean, they kind of are, but the Earth is doomed all the time, he goes to such a mean place with these people that I kind of wish was done more with the Doctor. But yeah, it's the reason why it's so high is because it's that human dynamic of the Doctor done to its max, done really well, and has one of the most sinister moments of David Tennant's Doctor dumb. Let's go to number 1. In at number 1 is Midnight. I don't know what it is about doomed spaceship missions, but I think I have a slight fetish with them. No, but I like this story because it's, again, simple. Doctor is in a crashed or broken spaceship against a threat that seems almost unbeatable. And, again, small cast of characters, got a really good bunch of them. You have the family of the mother, the father, and the son. You have the 2 scientists, portrayed by Patrick Troughton's, I think, grandson, and his assistant. Like, the woman is his assistant, girlfriend, not quite sure. And another loner, like the Doctor. And to see kind of the human dynamic that's played on a lot in this show, put into one of its darker places, and handled really well, is great. I like seeing the Doctor kind of stripped of his power, in a sense, and put into a very dangerous position. And I think that the way he kind of acts in such a panicked state is really good. Is very, again, human. The Doctor, David Tennant's Doctor, again, has that side to him, and I feel like in this episode it's awesome. It's fantastic at that. Like a couple of the other ones on this list, it puts the Doctor in a scenario he doesn't completely know how to get out of. It shows kind of the degradation of the scenario and of the Doctor's, not sanity, but hope. And I like that about it. I like the kind of strip down of his confidence and showing a very innocent side of the Doctor that should be shown more. But yeah, that's my list. Top 11 10th Doctor stories. If you disagree with my list, hopefully you like it and you respect my opinion. Hopefully you guys are excited for the 50th. I certainly am. But now I'm going to get out of here. I've been Viralrak. You guys have a good day of situations, and I'll see you another day.